Whenever a person starts thinking about committing murder, their mind is consumed with negative thoughts every moment for the 24 hours. Because of this, there are some cases where the reasons and methods behind the murder leave even the court shocked. Today's case is one such instance where even the judges of Supreme Court of India, which is India's highest court, were astonished by the method of the murder. In the beautiful Indian state of Rajasthan lies a district called Jhunjhunu, and within this district is a village named Buhana. In this village there lived a family of 4, consisting of the head of the household, Rajesh, his wife Subodh Devi, and their 2 sons, Sachin and Chirantan. Before we proceed, let me tell you that Rajasthan is also known as the Land of Kings, and Jhunjhunu district is famous for its grand Havelis, adorned with exquisite frescoes. This family of 4 lived happily in the village of Buhana. Both Sachin and Chirantan worked hard and even joined the Indian Army. By 2018, Sachin had reached the age to get married. Following this, on December 12, 2018, his family arranged his marriage to a girl named Alpana. However, like most soldiers, Sachin didn't get many days off in a year, typically only about 20 to 25 days in total. The same was true for Sachin and his brother. When they got leave from the army, the initial days were spent preparing for the wedding. After Sachin's marriage, their leave ended a few days later, and both brothers had to leave home again to fulfill their duties far away from their family. Sachin's father, Rajesh, also worked occasionally, but when he did, he would be away from home for several days. As a result, Sachin's wife, Alpana, and his mother, Subodh Devi, often had to stay home alone for long stretches of time. Then, 6 months after Sachin and Alpana's wedding, on June 3, 2019, a sudden incident occurred. Alpana came running outside her house, crying and shouting loudly. Alarmed by her condition, the neighbors rushed to her side and asked why she was crying and yelling. Alpana explained, "I just saw a snake in my mother-in-law's room, and when I called out to her, there was no response." Hearing this, someone called a snake charmer, but no one dared to go inside the house at that moment. However, within a short period, a snake charmer arrived on the scene. Using his flute, he managed to locate the snake within minutes. In the presence of Alpana's neighbors, the snake was captured. After this, Alpana, with the help of some neighbors, took her mother-in-law, Subodh Devi, to the hospital. However, upon seeing her, the doctor declared that she had passed away quite some time earlier. Alpana then informed her husband, Sachin, and father-in-law, Rajesh, about the tragic incident. This news left everyone who knew Subodh Devi in shock. Both her sons, who were in the army, had to take leave and return home immediately. Since this was an accidental death, the police had to get involved. The first step was conducting an autopsy on Subodh Devi. After the autopsy, Subodh Devi's funeral was performed. The following day, the autopsy report was released. However, the police did not thoroughly examine it because the residents of Buhana village claimed it was an accident. Many of them said they had seen the snake in Subodh Devi's room with their own eyes. The snake charmer also confirmed to the police that Subodh Devi had already passed away due to a snake bite before he arrived. Moreover, the area where Subodh Devi and her family lived was surrounded by dense bushes, and snakes had been spotted there multiple times before. Taking all these factors into account, the police treated the case as routine. They did not investigate where the snake had come from or how it had entered the house. In fact, the police didn't even bother to read the autopsy report properly. It was simply filed away in a corner of the police station with other cases. Now, in the blink of an eye, 6 months had passed since Subodh Devi's death. Her husband and both sons had gradually moved on from the grief of losing their wife and mother, returning to their normal lives. However, during this time, Rajesh, the senior-most member of the household, learned something unsettling from some neighbors. They informed him that an unknown man had been visiting their house while he and his sons were away at work. This revelation left Rajesh completely shocked, as he had no knowledge of it. Concerned, Rajesh shared this information with his two sons. When Sachin heard about it, he was utterly shaken. Following this, Rajesh decided to take a few days off from work and stay at home. While at home, Rajesh observed that his daughter-in-law, Alpana, received several phone calls during the day and would always talk to the caller with a cheerful demeanor. A couple of times, Rajesh asked Alpana about it, but she brushed it off, claiming the calls were from her family. However, Rajesh sensed that Alpana was lying to him and suspected that she was having an affair with another man. Deeply troubled, Rajesh shared his suspicions with his son Sachin and told him the entire story. Expressing his concern, he said, "Son, I have a feeling that Alpana may have been behind your mother, Subodh Devi's death, as part of some conspiracy." This thought began to weigh heavily on Sachin's mind, and he decided to review his mother's post-mortem report. Right after this, Sachin immediately contacted the police, expressing his concern and stating, "We doubt that my mother didn't die in an accident, but rather she might have been murdered." The police understood Sachin and his family's perspective and decided to revisit the post-mortem report. Upon carefully reviewing the report, the police found it clearly stated that Subodh Devi's death was caused by suffocation, and traces of snake venom were also found in her body. This revelation presented a new challenge for the police, and it further confirmed Sachin's suspicions about his wife. Following this, the police quietly began investigating the case as a potential murder. Since Alpana's neighbors and even her father-in-law informed the police that she was frequently on calls with an unknown man, the police first retrieved her call detail records. They then extracted data specifically for June 2nd and June 3rd. From this, they discovered that Alpana had called a single number 90 times on June 2nd alone. Investigating further, the police traced the unknown number and found that it belonged to a man named Manish. Subsequently, they obtained Manish's home address and brought him to the police station for questioning. In the initial interrogation, the police immediately grew suspicious of Manish because whenever the officers asked him questions, he would take a long time to answer. Following this, the Buhana police applied some pressure on Manish, making it clear that no matter how much he lied, they were not going to let him go. Eventually, Manish confessed that he had killed Subodh Devi at the behest of Alpana. After Manish's statement, the police obtained an arrest warrant and went to Alpana, taking her into custody and bringing her face to face with Manish. At the police station, the two stared into each other's eyes, and by then, Alpana had also broken down. Together, they revealed the entire story of the murder to the police. In reality, Sachin, Chirantan, and their father, Rajesh, were often away from home due to work. This left Alpana and her mother-in-law, Subodh Devi, alone at home. Shortly after their wedding, when Sachin rejoined the army, Alpana met a man named Manish. Their first meeting went well, with Manish impressing Alpana. She also enjoyed talking to him, so they exchanged numbers during that first encounter. Afterward, Manish texted Alpana and their friendship quickly deepened. Soon the two fell in love. Notably, Alpana's marriage was still very new, yet she had already begun betraying her husband. Now, Manish and Alpana started talking for hours daily over phone calls, and gradually, they transitioned to video calls as well. This love had made Alpana so infatuated that the first thing she did every morning upon waking up was call Manish. Even while working in the kitchen, Alpana would talk to Manish, as her husband, brother-in-law, and father-in-law were all away from home for work. However, one day, Alpana's mother-in-law, Subodh Devi, got wind of the fact that her daughter-in-law was talking to another man. Subodh Devi opposed this and tried to explain to Alpana that what she was doing was not right, but Alpana did not take her words seriously and ignored her advice entirely. Since Alpana spent the entire day talking to Manish, household chores started getting disrupted. When Subodh Devi needed something, Alpana would not even listen to her. Despite this, Subodh Devi refrained from telling her son, Sachin, about the affair to prevent a divorce. The situation escalated when one day, Subodh Devi caught Alpana talking to Manish on a road. Witnessing this, Subodh Devi's anger reached its peak. When Alpana bid farewell to Manish and returned home, a major argument broke out between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. In the midst of this conflict, Subodh Devi threatened Alpana, saying, "I tried to explain this to you earlier, but you didn't listen. So now I'm going to tell Sachin everything, that you have a relationship with a man named Manish, and that you talk to him for hours every day." Coincidentally, Sachin was about to get a break from his duty in a few days and would be coming home. Hearing this from Subodh Devi, Alpana became scared. She feared that if her husband returned and Subodh Devi revealed the truth, it would ruin her reputation within the family. Worried, Alpana shared this with her lover, Manish. On the other hand, Manish also panicked upon hearing this. Both began thinking about what they could do to prevent Sachin from finding out about their relationship. This was when Alpana came up with a horrifying idea. She thought, why not kill my mother-in-law, Subodh Devi? After all, there's no one else at home most of the time. If Subodh Devi dies, there will be no one to stop me from meeting Manish, as the all men of the house are usually away at work. Manish liked Alpana's idea, and the two started planning how they would murder Subodh Devi. Now, since Alpana was also a soldier's wife, she knew that if they made even a single mistake while killing Subodh Devi, the police would catch them. Therefore, she began thinking of a plan that wouldn't raise any suspicion and would make Subodh Devi's death look accidental. One day, Alpana saw a snake near her house, and that gave her the idea that a single snake bite could kill a person. So, she thought, why not make her mother-in-law die in the same way, by having her bitten by a snake? This way, no one would suspect them. This method of murder had never been used by any killer before, so Mastermind Alpana also knew that this approach would come with its own set of challenges. After that, Manish began searching for a poisonous snake. During this time, he came into contact with a snake charmer named Krishna Kumar. Manish told Krishna, "I need a venomous snake that guarantees a person won't survive its bite." Meanwhile, Alpana and Manish decided that the murder would have to be carried out when Rajesh, Alpana's father-in-law, was away at work, as he was home in May but left for work at the beginning of June. Alpana was aware that he wouldn't return home for a few days. She informed Manish about this, and Manish immediately went to the snake charmers. One of them handed over a snake to Manish, sealed in a bag. On the evening of June 2nd, Manish arrives outside Alpana's house with the snake. He also hands her a bag and some sedative pills. Alpana takes the bag inside and places it in a corner of the house. As night falls, she prepares a banana shake for her mother-in-law, Subodh Devi, mixing in the sedative. During this process, Alpana keeps going back to her room to call Manish. After Subodh Devi drinks the shake and falls unconscious, Alpana informs Manish to come over immediately. Within minutes, Manish arrives at Alpana's house. However, they start having second thoughts about their plan to leave the snake in Subodh Devi's room, as there is no guarantee the snake will bite her. After discussing this for a while, Alpana suggests that since Subodh Devi is already unconscious, they should strangle her first to ensure she is dead. Then they could leave the snake in the room. If the snake bites her, it would be an added cover, but at least they would be certain of her death. Alpana and Manish proceed with the plan. Together, they smother Subodh Devi with a pillow. At one point, Alpana checks to ensure Subodh Devi is no longer breathing. Once she is certain, Manish removes the pillow. After confirming that Subodh Devi is dead, they take the snake out of the bag, leave it in her room, and lock the door behind them. By this time, it was already quite late at night, and so Manish left shortly after while Alpana went to her room and fell asleep. The entire night passed, and when morning came, Alpana started shouting loudly, telling her neighbors that she had seen a snake in her mother-in-law's room. When some people actually saw the snake, they became convinced that Subodh Devi's death was caused by a snake bite. After telling this entire story, Sachin and his entire family were shocked, and their relatives were also astonished, wondering just how far a woman would go to get the love she wanted. After this, the police arrested Alpana, her lover Manish, and Krishna Kumar, the snake charmer who provided the snake. The police then took statements from the three, prepared a charge sheet, and presented them in court. The case first went to the district court, and even the judge there was shocked by the method of the murder. In 2020, while the case was still ongoing in the district court, the three criminals applied for bail. However, the district court, after considering their crime, denied their bail request, and the three then went to the Rajasthan High Court. But the High Court also refused to grant bail to all three accused, and then the three of them approached India's highest court, the Supreme Court. At that time, a bench of 3 judges was sitting in the Supreme Court, and when they heard the entire case, they too were astonished by the method of the murder and refused to grant bail to the 3 criminals. Since then, the 3 criminals have been behind bars, but Alpana was kept in a separate prison, while Manish and the snake charmer Krishna Kumar were kept in a different one. Now, the man with whom Alpana wanted to spend most of her days, which is obviously Manish, was not found even in jail. So this case ends here, and what are your thoughts on it?